Holla ballers and a bro fist to you all, and welcome one and all to the final drama time of 2024, the end of the current season, getting ready to start fresh, and we will have a new look for drama time at some point in 2024, early in 2024. We'll have a whole new look for what's going on, and it should be good. It should be good. It's need a little spice for a while, but we are here. We are having fun, we are doing our things, and we're ready to finish it up as we have begun, finally, our Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. And as you can see, I have been designated as the Peacebringer because, of course, we are taking things ethically. We are judging each situation on its own merits and looking to make sure that the path and the decisions we make are all the correct ones for our character, embracing the roleplay in such a way as to follow through and make sure that everything we do is in line with our personality of our Berserker Barbarian. There is going to be death. It is ultimately a video game, right? We are not aiming for a pacifist run, although I would say that we are close to pacifism in many, many ways, and encouraging life to flourish is kind of the main mantra that is tattooed above our door as people come and ask for help, is that we are constantly looking for ways to expand and grow the universe and bring peace and prosperity to many around them. But what a wonderful game. Absolutely amazing. I did throw a child at its mother. Good times, man. Good times. Good times. Sometimes you just got to think, can I do this? And the answer sometimes is yes. And that's wonderful. So that's how we're going to be bringing in 2024. But of course, on New Year's Eve, just a couple of days from now, my friends, we are throwing our FF14 Time Warp New Year's Eve party. It was amazing last time. We brought in the New Year's across a lot of Europe, all the way over to the UK. We'll be starting around 6 p.m. UK time. We've got DJs, multiple venues. It's going to be awesome. Check it out. Loads of different styles and themes. We're going to go to different locations throughout the night and change the whole theme and whole party every time we do. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for it. And I need to sort out the outfits, of course, that we'll be wearing. Okay. Bex has listed here that the first story of today is a mandatory one. It says here in my notes is World's Most Dangerous. World's Most Dangerous. Okay. World's Most Dangerous. So let's have a looky look and get started for drama. And of course, if you want to send your story into Drama Time, you just email it to drama@preachgaming.com. It's as simple as that. Or you can even submit it on our website if you want to do it at preachgaming.com. Simple as stuff. Okay, so yeah, this is obviously this speaks for itself. This is going to be difficult for our audio listeners, but here we go. Have you seen this person? Mike the Massacre Preach. Wanted for being an all-round terrible person, he killed an innocent dog, threw a baby at its own mother, kidnapped people to his camp, then made them kill each other like it's Hunger Games or some shit, murdering, poem-reciting robots. Dangerously awful, do not approach. Now, I want to be absolutely clear on this. Yes, all these things did happen, but every single one of them had a reason, right? That dog was not innocent. It attacked me while I was trying to calm it, and it had to be put down. I did throw the baby at its own mother, but I tried to talk to them first and let them know that I was there in peace, and there was no way I was going to harm them, and they attacked me. People willingly came to my camp. Now, they did kill each other, and I watched, but I didn't like one of the people. So, there you go. And the robot attacked me when I said, quite openly, I come in peace. So, there's lack of context here if you want to do it. Oh, my God. It gets worse. Dog killer. Before and after. Mike came across a grieving and loyal dog named Scratch. He shouted at his dead owner to give the poor, suffering dog some emotional damage just to be safe, and then he murdered him in cold blood. Look, okay, these are all posters for our audio listeners with pictures of the dead dog. Again, the dialogue choice was try and show the dog that its master is dead so the dog would stop hanging around it. The dog had been hanging around the corpse for quite some time, and the dialogue choice was to show that the guy's dead and the dog can be free and go free. Baby. Yeah, now there's a picture of a cute little owl bear and then a picture of a meteor. Mike walked into the den of a family of owlbears just minding their business and threw the baby at his own mother, turning this cute little baby into a meteor of sadness and feathers. Like, that's not entirely true. That's not how it went down. I tried to talk to them. I used owl speaking, and they turned against me. Gnome killer. Mike was sent out to kill a group of angry dwarves who were keeping gnomes captive. Instead, Mike killed a load of gnomes instead. His justification was, I don't know who is killing who anymore, and I think we just kill everybody. Again, it's lacking context, okay? It's lacking context is we went there to stop slavery, and for some reason, the gnomes turned against me in the middle of the fight, in which case I had no other choice but to butcher them and I had to calm the situation down. I can tell you by the end of it, the situation was calm. Poet killer. Mike trespassed into a random tower, stole all their shit, got to the top, and when Bernard the robot greeted him by reciting poetry, he murdered him and all his friends. I told Bernard I came in peace. I told Bernard he came in peace, right? That's... Kidnapper. Mike kidnapped a load of people from a squid ship, took them into his cult camp in the woods, and then got them to kill each other like it's the Hunger Games, leaving some of them dead and the others with PTSD. Also, on a side note, if anybody can let me know how to get rid of a corpse in my camp, that would be really good. So anyway, apparently the opening story is just to berate me. Just to berate me. I've tried to get rid of a corpse in the camp. It just keeps lurking around, which is offensive in my eyes. The ethics of esports. Oh my god. Well. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. The ethics of esports. I believe somebody at Worlds last year was caught with a USB hack program plugged into their machine. So, I don't know. And that's in front of an audience of like, what, 2 million? So, yeah, the ethics is a little ropey. The ethics is a little ropey in the world of esports. Oh, God. Okay. Let's get into our first real drama story that isn't Bex just upsetting me. Hello, preacher in the audience. I come to you with a tale from my wild and wonderful life. I told you stories before with a couple of tales from my MMO experiences, yet this time I have something from beyond the screen. Yes, we are discussing a world that cannot be dominated by Arthurs or devastated by Bahamut. In this world, actions do have consequences for eternity, and the possibility of public humiliation is never too far away. I'm, of course, talking about the grass-touching world of real life. Here we go. It is in this world that I require judgment. Oh, God. I didn't even get my gavel ready. Judgment from the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your gavels. Raise your gavels. Judgment has been asked and it shall be delivered. Of course, we will always take things in due course. It all began on an evening like any other. I'm a student teacher, a vendor of knowledge for our younger generations who are both imaginative and terribly immature. Of course, I'm referring to teenagers. A world which, Mike, you will have to endure in the coming years, and I'm sure that James and Max will grow up to be far more functioning and aware than you are. I don't know about that, mate. They are the arbiters of attitude, pale faces from the terrors of modern education, and the unsurprisingly frequent consumption of marijuana. Yet, between the stench of a lad's toilet and the inane rambling of teenage girls on Instagram, when they should be in lessons, there is a light in the tunnel. The hallowed halls of our next generation of gamers, where boys and girls are free to become legends in the online world. And at the heart of oblivion itself, they are forged. For in our student lounge is an area for game design and esports. You teach esports at school now? No fucking way. There are courses in schools on esports? That's mental. That's fucking crazy. No way. That's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, they didn't have that shit when I was around, I tell you. They didn't have that fucking shit. Your university has a class on esports? What are they teaching esports? What's the curriculum for esports? Is it about organizing events? I assume it's like event organization, right? Gotta be. And dealing with casting? Diploma in esports, Bachelor of Games, Rage mostly, gaming in Sweden. They talk about throwing cubs at mothers, how to get good. Teaching how to click the damage buttons. Okay, any real answers from anybody who actually knows what's in there? I've got to imagine it's event organization or something like that, right? Because they can't teach you how to play games. Yeah, exactly. There's got to be something along those lines. We got it here. Let me check this. I'm curious about our audio listeners want to know too. Old. The Diploma in Esports, Bachelor of Games and Interactive Environments. It's designed for dedicated gamers who are curious about experiencing the whole game and interactive media development process. Okay, so this is more like game design. The highlights of this. Are you a dedicated gamer curious about esports and game development careers? This unique pathway program is designed to help you confidently progress from your esports studies to QUT's game development degree. Sounds like a side course. Learn from passionate educators who have real-world esports expertise in a supportive environment. Develop industry expertise through one of our specialist majors in game design, animation, and software technologies. That's pretty vague. I don't know about that, man. That sounds pretty vague. That doesn't sound like a big course. We have reached the 21st century where esports are as important as traditional sports. It's getting there. Not there yet. The NFL kind of shits on everything. And education has finally caught up. After a long and tedious day of teaching, one of my colleagues introduced me to the After Hours Club. In the dark recesses of the campus, locked away by a staff ID badge, I encountered them. The gaming PCs. Rows upon rows of high-end computers in a room untouched by all students except those who were decided to be worthy. On this night, only 4 were deemed capable of even touching these keyboards, and their game of choice was only 2 things. It's got to be League, hasn't it? It is the game that we have all played at least once. The game that lives in the shadows and in the light at the same time. The game whose community is regarded as one of the most toxic of all time, without fail, and yet generates lifelong addictions due to booba and the thought that one day you could win the Summoner's Cup. The game of choice was, of course, League. Yep. I guess my kids are going to progress to League at some point. Daddy, I want some skins. Putting the dramatic effect aside for one moment, it was actually super fucking cool. The 4 students had tried out from a group of many for their roles. Oh, they're trying to make a team. And they were the best that the campus had to offer. Something that was quite sweet is that they all had learning differences, ranging from ADHD to autism or dyslexia or bipolar. Some had very heavy levels of anxiety or OCD, and yet these students with all these issues in this room were warriors and spellcasters. They had the potential to compete where in other places in the real world they couldn't. The top laner, Mitchell, had a physical disability which impaired their ability to take part in traditional sports. However, they found solace in the online world. The mid laner, Mad Payfish, had severe anxiety and ADHD, but found the thought of CSing quite calming and methodical. Doubles Double Sandman! The team's ADC was heavily dyslexic, but was so good at math and enjoyed all of the traits and stats that went on in the game. And last but not least, Crooker. Bipolar, but found shot calling as a support a great way to focus his behavioral issues. Poggers. Super. For those who aren't aware, student esports is a growing thing across Europe. Oh, let's monetize those bastards. Oh, yes. Just like they did with college football in the US. Hello, now. What do we call our slaves? That South Park episode is fucking hilarious. Oh, athletes. We call them athletes. I like it. And a lot of countries now have student leagues that take place between the colleges, universities, and schools on a district level. Is that true? We got E-Team USA here. Do they have that kind of shit going on? Do you guys have like competitions into university esports arrangements and stuff? Because that sounds badass. I know Overwatch tried it, right? Overwatch tried to have the universities represented. You've heard about it? Yeah. That sounds pretty good. And I do remember Overwatch trying to get leagues up in the universities and things like that. Heroes of the Dorm. We have some in Germany. The NA leagues are dumpsters. NA gamers. Rocket League's got it. Links with Varsity in the UK. I'll be interested if my kids pop up with that stuff. That'd be sick. Okay. At the end of the year, some of the higher leagues arrange tournaments where the teams can compete for a trophy and an educational fund and scholarship. It's all quite well set up and miles away from the LAN parties that many of us arranged back in the day. In this league, however, the team were close to relegation due to having to forfeit several matches through a lack of commitment from their fifth member. According to my colleague, they kept having to sub their jungle over and over again, as no one was prepared to take the spot before this week. They were currently running tryouts for their jungler, but they were still midway through the process. The team that they were facing had also encountered similar issues and were tied on 0 points with my... Oh my god, it's a fucking loser team. Both teams have 0 points. Oof. The only problem was, this time, the other team had all 5 members ready to go. If they won, my campus's team would be relegated and potentially banned from the league until next year. But if we won, it would be their team that was relegated, and we would maintain our position as dead last in the league, but not relegated. Okay, we're aiming high, team. We're aiming for dead last, but not eliminated from the entire competition. That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming really high right now. Now, we come to the ethics of the competition. According to the rules of the league, all subs have to be agreed at least 15 minutes before the match. In addition to this, all players, regardless of age, must be students to account for mature students. We had 2 minutes to find a player. Not just any player, a jungler. Someone who was used to being abused by random arseholes in an online game. My colleague was scrambling around to find someone, and found no one. Except his one friend who he knew was a gamer, me. You're not allowed to play, though. With our mental gymnastics, I suggested that because my job title was student teacher, technically, I counted as a student regardless of age, and therefore, I should be allowed to join the team and help them to stay in the league. What's a jungler? A jungler is a player who stays in the jungle, in the map, and like farms XP and gold in there, and not in the lanes. Here I was, at work, legally being paid to play League of Legends, to try and assist a team of students to stay in the student league. That isn't quite what I thought my degree would lead to, but all of those years of being told that gaming wouldn't get me anywhere, well, go fuck yourself. We selected our comp, a very diverse one, a very well-versed one. And by well-versed, I mean it's a student league. My comp, which will make sense to league players, was Tryndamere, Diana, Vega, Ashe, and Bard. Nothing too fancy, but we had a lack of ethics and a shit ton of rule adjustment on our side. Now, I'd like to say that I hard carried this game. That I strolled in like a hero, a legend. And that from that night, I walked away with a crown on top of my head and the respect of the students. No. That's not what happened. I realized very quickly that in my mid-20s, my teammates were actually immensely good at this fucking game. And they just needed someone to hold the fort and be an adult. And so, I let them dictate what to do. I did my diligent farming. I ganked and suggested plays for them to execute on. I allowed them to take control, held back my swearing whilst hearing doable Sandman screaming, "Fuck you, you fucking cunt," at the top of their lungs at the sight of getting a quadra kill on Ashe. Mitchell played one of the best Tryndamere games I've ever seen in my life, and Payfish, He was great. It was like a well-oiled machine, and Christ, did I feel fucking old. The other team weren't bad either. Aside from some mistakes, it was actually quite an even game, but their top laner had nothing on ours. Crooker made some incredible calls, and everyone rallied around them. The other team claimed one Drake, we claimed one back. Back and forth we went with captures, and then came the final one. I made the call, and we rushed towards it after setting up our waves. But something was wrong. Something was wrong. Mitchell walked into the river and saw that the other team were already halfway through the final dragon. They were about to claim the mountain soul. This was it. It was my time to shine. I threw my Q over the wall. The glistening white beams plummeted to mark my targets. My smite was ready. I dashed towards them and the Drake. I pressed smite and the Drake's health went down to 960. I fucked up. I whiffed. The other team's jungler had all the time in the world, and they would have been the game. But in came Crooker. They flew through the wall, stunned the enemy jungler in place, and with a mighty slice, I killed the Drake. We claimed the soul, because Crooker saved me from being absolute dog shit. We rushed to the Baron, claimed it for ourselves as the death timers were too long for the other team to do anything. We backed and prepared for the final push, and then the game ended. We thought we'd disconnected or something had happened, but in fact, the other team had done the cardinal sin of esports. They FF'd the game. And Mike, honestly, I've never heard celebratory screams that loud in my life. The rest of the team jumped to their feet in delight as I recovered from having my eardrums blown out in surprise. The other team were relegated. Goners. And my campus's team had survived. Mitchell, Sandman, Payfish, Crooker, despite their learning differences and life barriers they faced every day, had achieved their first ever win of the league. They hugged each other. They complimented each other. They had become a team. As the only adult in the room, I rose out of my seat, smirked, and left them. Walked out the door so they could enjoy their moment together. My colleague thanked me for stepping up when they needed it, even if it was highly unethical. In turn, I told my colleagues they'll have to find someone else next time. Someone good. I said my goodbyes, but before I left, the team called at me and asked if I could be their coach, as I was too old. I said I'd think about it and see if it fit in my schedule. Then I left the room and watched through the glass panels as the team continued to celebrate, and all I could do was smile as I headed home. At the time of reading this, you'll be happy to hear the team found their fifth, and that they've been placed into their league for the rest of the season. So, I come to you, the jury, and Mike. I require judgment on two things. One, we bent the rules. Was it unethical to assist this team in staying in their league for the rest of the season? Or was it the right thing to do? And two, should I become a coach? An esports coach? Thanks for listening to my story regardless of the verdict. And all I have to say is, gamers be gaming. I don't know whether student teacher... All the student teachers I've ever dealt with are students. They're doing their, like, final year of PhD or whatever. And therefore, you are a student. So I think it's fine. I mean, that's what I've dealt with in the past. TAs, teachers' assistants and stuff, were students. So, I think it's fine. I mean, it sounds fine. Unless it's different where you are. I think it sounds like the US, so it seems fine to me. I've dealt with a few of them, so I'll take it. Should you become a coach? No, you don't know anywhere near enough. Guilty. Yeah, I don't think you know anywhere near... I don't know. You'd have to tell me. Do you know anywhere near enough to become a coach? It doesn't sound it, but, you know, maybe. Maybe. TA is faculty, but also a student. They still have lessons and things and reports to turn in. Like student doctors. They're technically still students, although they're working as doctors, right? With someone overseeing them. That's allowed. I think. I think that works. I'm pretty sure it does. Okay. Let's move over here. Let's have someone spoil Christmas like Chris Jericho with a mobile phone. That's not very Christmas. Okay, that's not very Christmas. And our star will be Trunembra. Drew. J Good. It's not very Christmas. All right, let's see. Where we go here. And a small update to the Tale of Two Clicks. Hey, Preacher! This is the second time I've ever written you a story of Drama Time. I originally wrote to you a story of Tale of Two Clicks. The verdict of your story had me man up and realize I was being manipulated. See? Drama Time provides. I'll give you a small update now, but it'll be a full story in itself because people yell and scream at me in destroyed friends groups. I listened to your advice as well as my closest IRL friends listened to your telling of the story. I eventually told the bad acting rogue he was not welcome to raid with us next tier after he started passively aggressive fighting with people in our Discord. It led to even more drama, me getting shouted at and ruined some friendships there. But as per your advice, I stood my ground, realized I need to get these people out of my group to keep myself sane and my group healthy. Correct, they will poison everything. I appreciate everything you do in that story and setting me straight. I no longer entertain loot drama and stop trying to make everyone happy. Yep, that's impossible. If they don't like the way we do things, they don't need to stay. Correct. And if I tell them that fun is more important than anything else, after long discussions, we switched off the loot council to need and greed. We got our ahead of the curve. Perfect. A week before Christmas with our core group after half had left. There you go. Cut off the fat. Progress was made. Great success. And now you can bring people in under the right circumstances. Right? That's how you do it. Yeah? Get rid of that poison and build up with people in the right environment. But tonight, I have a different tale for you, my friends. This tale is about a pug raid that I literally just came out of on Christmas Day at around 10 p.m. You were pugging a raid Christmas Day at 10 p.m. That's a risky play. That's a really risky play. Who's out in the pug world on Christmas Day? Who's pugging on Christmas Day? Guilty. Guilty, yeah. Okay. Okay, that's ropey. I don't know. To close off the night, after the wife was relaxing on the couch, I decided to take my Frost DK on a normal pug. Using the power of my ahead of the curve linking ability, I got invited. Okay. The leader, Drew, pops up saying, "Alright, lads. Anyone got, like, a pumper friend they want to invite to help out fucking pwn these bosses?" We were in a Discord call. I offer this to J-Good, our raid leader and Giga Chad Devastation Evoker. 99 parser extraordinaire and a 95 parser on heroic. He takes me up on the offer, and into the normal and pug we go to face Gnarlroot. You can't have wipes on Gnarlroot normal, surely. Normal Gnarlroot was pretty easy. We go in, take it down, but our damage is noticeably low. Oh, okay. The gauge was set, I see. A two-handed strength mace drops off Gnarlroot, and I win the roll, replacing my two one-handers so I could switch from the cool Breath of Syndragosa build to Obliterate. I'm pretty stoked, and J-God is stoked. He got a 99 pass on damage and item level for the fight. We're both feeling pretty good. As soon as we're chit-chatting, I see a message in the raid chat from Trunembra that says, "Alright, mates. Don't think you need that weapon, though, do you? Just looking at it. Don't think you need that. You are using one-handers, and your main hand weapon is better than that. Pretty sure you don't need that." Not unexpected in a pug environment, so I begin to explain in the chat I'm a Frost DK. I want to play the Obliterate build, which is two-handed weapons. Drummer goes, all right. Is that how it is? Okay. And drops the issue. Fast forward to further in the raid, and Trunumber gets some pretty good trinkets. Biss almost. And we get to Nimue. Before we get to start Nimue, Drew speaks up in the chat. Alright, lads. Just saying something I've noticed as we've been progressing through the raid. If you are going to be needing on gear that you don't need, I am going to be removing you from the group from now on. If you're needing on like champion gear, when you've got heroic gear, I'll kick you because that, lads, is not very Christmas. I immediately reply to this. Is it because of that weapon I needed on to replace my previous one? It's for a different build that needs the different weapon. But Drew doesn't reply. He completely ignores me. Almost as much as he ignored the boss, as he did less than the healer on damage for a majority of bosses. After clearing him away and congratulating Jgood for another stellar 99 pass, I see that a pair of gloves have dropped. I'm wearing crappy 437s and instantly need on them and win and equip them. Excuse me, mate. Did you really need on those gloves, though? You should be trading them, don't you think? Just saying. I noticed that you pressed need and won them. So you should probably be trading those. I explained, no, I was wearing these gloves. These bad ones. No you weren't, mate. No you weren't. You're wearing the same gloves right now that just dropped. So why would you need the same gloves that you are currently wearing? Preach, audience. I could not make this shit up. I sat there stunned. I told Jgood in Discord, dude, if I need on another piece of gear, they're gonna fucking kick me. He didn't remove me then. But we get to Smoldy Boy, where I'm third on the DPS meter as a newly minted 443 tierless Frost DK. Jgood is hard pumping, carrying the entire group. And there it was. A pair of Champions Plate boots dropped. I see it is a huge upgrade from what I have. So I say to Jgood, dude, I'm going to get kicked because I'm going to need on these boots, aren't I? And as I said it and clicked need, I got kicked from the group. I was infuriated. Why? Why was I kicked? Why? He can see they're an upgrade. Why? So I sent the boy a message. Drew, why have you kicked me? It's an upgrade. This is what I had and this is what they are. All night, yeah? You have been needing on loot that you don't need. There are people in this raid who are trying to upgrade their characters. And you're stealing stuff just so you can sell it or something. No, mate. No, look. Everything I've won tonight has been gear that is just a straight upgrade. You are not very Christmas. And what you did tonight is not very Christmas of you. And put me on ignore. I was so confused. I messaged some friends. I told them what was going on. And one of the officers started about the gloves. He was probably an above average IQ paladin player. And logged off for the night. So we re-queued into normal. I managed to kill Farak so I could get the vault slot and decided to call it a night. I sit here writing this still confused that this actually happened to me. And I hope this story proves just because I wasn't being very Christmassy, like passing on gear that I needed, doesn't mean that I'm a Grinch. I hope your holidays were fantastic and I hope you guys enjoy the renovated office. And I hope the new year starts fantastic for you guys at Preach Gaming. But I promise you, if I'm ever in a pug with you, I will need on upgrades. Even if it is Christmas. Not guilty. Just really bad raid leader. I mean, he's a raid leader who wanted to carry, right? He put the group together. He wants to carry. And also, if he was a Paladin player, he was clearly a plate wearer. So you were essentially taking gear from him. That's the problem. He was trying to gear his alts, and you took gear from him, and that's the situation. Nothing more. Nothing more, nothing less. You yoinked. You absolutely yoinked from him. Because he had bad rolls. Yeah, it's a big true. Like, nobody cares about loot until they don't get something they want. Nobody gives a fuck who's getting anything until they miss out on something. And then they're pissed. He had 3 loot drops in a raid. That personal loot, baby. Beware of the Fountain Dancer. Hello, Preacher in chat today. I wanted to bring you the tale of how myself and my girlfriend, alright, bragger, managed to find the single worst player in MMOs. I'm not talking about just World of Warcraft or even other MMOs I played like Guild Wars 2. This was in FF14 and was the single worst player I have ever seen. How bad can you be in FF14? I want to start with patch 6.4 and how my girlfriend and I decided to take the game seriously. Before 6.4, we do everything on release. Including the MSQ, the new Alliance raid, and the new normal raids. All craftable sets would be made within a week. We gather the resources, build them, and then trade them to each other so we'd have the other's name on every piece of gear. Aww. Oh, that's cute. All custom deliveries done. All beast tribes done. The only thing that we were yet to conquer in the entire game was savage raiding. French person, surely? Oh, wow. On the day of 6.4, we got our gathering and crafting on. Over 2 days, we made our full crafted sets and delved into what we now know is hell on earth. The Party Finder. This patch has a filter, aka the shitters get filtered out very quickly. This infamous mechanic was called Limit Cut, or LC. Oh dear. Okay. I've done my limit cuts. On day 1 of prog. Day 1 of Player Finder prog was to be expected. Lots of wiping and trying to figure out what on earth we were meant to be doing. This was our first time in Savage, after all. We were bound to be slower than others. At least, that's what I thought. We see the mechanic and did what everyone at the time was doing in Player Finder. Oppo strat, aka you run in a circle and leave one behind. Day 2 came around, and the Player Finder has begun to evolve. It has begun to adapt. It has begun to grow. There was a new strat to learn, nicknamed the JP strat. Everyone stands together. Blue 1 runs to the other side. Person with a 6 above their head soaks the first tower. 2 goes behind the group. All 3 AoEs. Fire. Blue 2 runs to the other side. 8 soaks second tower. 4 goes behind. And then we switch sides. Repeat again for the remaining players. We do this all day. And we make it past Limit Cut 1 once. 6 hours of trying. Day 3. We continue. Day 3. It happens again. Except now, I'm starting to notice names. I start to build a list. I start adding people who were decent and never messed up and would message them before starting a group. It didn't help. Another 6 hours was wasted. Day 4 is when I lost my fucking mind. I'd had over 150 pulls at this point. Which boss is this? Which boss is it? 150 pulls at this point. P9S. Okay. Eat, fight, all day, over and over to see little or no progress. We quit. And both my girlfriend and I have just had enough. We don't want to keep dealing with whatever that was. And have a roster of people who are doing it for the first time and messing it up over and over. We experienced what it was like to have a promising group that nailed Limit Cut 1 first time. Over each pull after that got worse and worse and worse. Until the instance timer was up and we had to queue again. Except we don't. Party disbands and we start again. The interim of 6.4 and meeting our mysterious dancer was getting the mentor roulette mount. The interim of 6.4 and meeting our mysterious dancer was getting the mentor roulette mount. If you're interested in hearing the story of what it's like going from a year-long happy-to-help mentor to I hate everyone and most of the FF14 community is shit and I hate everything and I hate this game, let me know and I'll write it. Okay, we're a full mentor. I have a spreadsheet documenting my time and how long it took. No thanks. Now, how we met our magical star of this tale, Soul Nibbler. The nightmare that was getting the mentor mount made us look back on our time in Player Finder with a fondness which I could only describe as woefully deluded, forgetting what it was like being stuck on the same mechanic for literal days and no future in sight. I convinced my now forever changed girlfriend, Jesus Christ, that making friends and joining a Player Finder might be a good idea. Perhaps it's changed. Perhaps things have got better. We could make friends, get loot. Maybe even get the P12S mounts, which we've had our eyes on since we heard of it. So I began my search. I delved, this time carefully, into the recruitment discords to find the perfect fit. You see, I made a Sage healer and my girlfriend a warrior tank. Side note, we did Player Finder as a Sage White Mage duo. Make of that what you will. Okay. The group was stated, that I found, to be a fresh group that's open to beginners, which, for all intents and purposes, I still believed we were. So, this seemed perfect, my friends. I sent a message to a ninja called Jersey, and I stated that I used to be a mythic raider in World of Warcraft, in Legion, but I'm new to Savage raiding, so I'm looking for a group. That's a bad opening. I don't know how that would be received. I'm a mythic raider in World of Warcraft looking to do some Savage. I don't know how that would be received in the DMs. That would be that might be, for some people it's probably a turn on, and for some people probably a turn off. I don't know. There was a problem, however, my friends. Another healer just applied, so I would have to be a DPS. No problem. I mentioned I only have crafted gear, however. I'd upgrade it as soon as I could. A few details come out about this group. Mainly that Jersey's girlfriend Soul Nibbler was the dancer of the group, but Jersey shared a last name with the summoner of the group. Oh no. I thought this was weird, but we're joining as a couple, so I didn't see it as an issue. Raid day was set for Sunday and practice began. For 4 days we practiced, made food and potions, looked up guides on how to max our damage. Every detail of the fight was looked over and we made sure that neither I nor my girlfriend would be the shitters of the group. I installed TOS friendly stuff on my computer to make it so I could look into the past to figure out what went wrong. I was ready. The day comes, and we were ready to make the trek across the data centers to light, teleporting to Limsa and immediately met with weird lewd comments. Great success. Red flag number 1. The others weren't ready. They were late. Not a big red flag. Not a big one. Not an issue. It was only 5 minutes. The group was there. We zone in and we prepare. Pull number 1. My opener was a little wonky, but I was feeling confident. Then I got tank busted. No issue. The Dark Knight off tank forgot his stance. Happens. Okay. Pull number 2. Soul Nibbler and White Mage mess up Ice Phase, no worries. Beginner group. It happens, we go again. Pull number 3. Jersey gets tank busted. Dark Knight has yet again forgot his stance. Pull number 11. A clusterfuck of people in the wrong place. But we are making progress. We are making progress. We made it to Limit Cup 1. Pull number 27. I do the classic fat finger and teleport into the death ring. That first day one of this experienced but beginner welcoming team had 35 wipes that never made it past Limit Cut 1. This is the point that I should reveal to you that this has now made me paranoid. The only commonality between the days of wiping in the past and now is me. And I'm now paranoid that I'm the one who's causing issues. And I want to stress that this paranoia is the reason that I was using logs. I needed evidence. I needed data. I needed to know it's not me. While I was at it, though, checking if it was me, I couldn't help but look at, well, maybe what caused the wipes in general. I wasn't going to show anyone other than my girlfriend, so what's the big deal? Also, while checking the logs, I did notice that Soul Nibbler was doing a strangely low amount of damage. Oh, the World of Warcraft in you has risen once again, my friend. Hello, hello, hello. And I thought to myself that maybe I could help. She was doing 1,000 less DPS than my girlfriend, the tank, and 3k less than me. So something must be up. How my system worked was, if you were involved in the start of the wipe, then you got the blame for it. Now, this could be the summoner or the white mage forgetting they can press revive for 10 seconds, or it could be simply standing in the wrong place and causing a cascade of fuck-ups. For example, when I teleported into the wall, we didn't wipe there. We kept going for another 2 minutes. But the wipe was my fault that caused more people to die since the pair mechanics were next and we simply didn't have enough people, etc., etc. I, in that instance, was the one that caused the first domino to fall. There were 3 winners on day 1. The Dark Knight, which I've told you about, the White Mage, and our favourite Soul Nibbler. After reviewing all 35 wipes, 80% of them were because of those 3. Again, I didn't care. I wasn't angry, I wasn't upset. It was day 1. I decided that we should focus on what we could do, namely self-improvement, my friend. My girlfriend was nailing her mechanics as always. Just needed a bit more GCD uptime. That's all, which for this fight can be difficult for melee. Myself needed to make sure that my 10% damage increase was always on the boss. I was at 93.5%, so not too bad. And I need to learn when to cast Soul So, my 5-second cast meant for downtime. Of course, I wanted to keep more GCD uptime. These are all ways that we can all improve. After looking at myself and my girlfriend and self-analyzing, humbly throwing myself at the mercy of the logs and looking for ways of improving, make our progress better, I then decided to have a cheeky look at Soul Nibbler. Maybe if I look at the logs, I can see where the problem is. I want to mention here that when doing the mental roulette, I got so incredibly bored doing it that I began playing every single job in the game. I would learn their rotation, what made them click. Dancer, for example, you want to always have your dances on cooldown, which this dancer was doing. She did a pretty good job at making sure she kept her dances on cooldown. Only missing 33% of them, which in my eyes for a beginner raider wasn't a huge issue. However, nothing could prepare me for what I saw next. It looks like someone, which you've pointed out in many guides, Preach, is focused on mechanics and not pressing their buttons while dodging, so she could do them right. I won't want to focus on a 50% GCD uptime. We're past that now. I go in game, switch to Dancer, and begin looking at my buttons and notice something off. Why was the red button on my 1 key and the blue one on my 2 key? It then dawned on me. She was only pressing the number 2 in her 1-2 combo. She wasn't actually doing any of the combo things that dancers do. Dancer is a job that is proc-based. You store the procs for your bursts, then unleash. Think Legion Frostmage. Yeah, we've played some Dancer. You don't proc anything with just Fountain or your number 2 button. But it got worse from there. Not only don't you proc anything, it's actually the least damaging spell. For context, Cascade, your number 1 ability, does 220 damage. Fountain does 100. As with every DPS, this also combos with Fountain and procs abilities, as is its purpose. She was doing less than half the damage she should have done if she would have just spammed the 1 button instead. So, maybe it would be a good idea if I tried to help her. So day 2 rolls around, and I decide I should bring it up. So I approach Jersey. Hey, man. We're a casual, laid-back kind of static, aren't we? And so it's not like a big deal or like an issue if people are making some little mistakes. Yeah. Why? Says Jersey. You see, it's not a big thing, okay? It's not a big thing. But I was, because I'm interested, I'm a former Mythic Raider, as you know. I was going over the logs and seeing what caused us to wipe and all that, you know, to see if there was something silly we were doing wrong. And I did notice that Soul Nibbler was just doing like a lot less damage. Not like a little bit, but like a lot less damage than the healer sometimes. And obviously I noticed it, and it was like every pull. So I thought I would see what was going wrong, right? Because it was a little odd. And I want to be clear, I looked at everybody. It wasn't like focused on Soul Nibbler or anything. I did look at everybody, but I noticed like a little drifting. Nothing major going on. Like, you know, nothing big. Her opener, bang on. But I did notice that she's doing her 1-2 rotation minus the rotation part. Yeah, we know, Jersey said. We've been working on it. Oh! I should have known that you were aware. And I wouldn't have said anything. I really wouldn't have brought it up, except it, you know, it breaks her entire class. So I thought it worth mentioning that, yeah, like the class doesn't work without it. Yeah. She's new to Dancer. We told her to focus in Raid, first of all, on the mechanics, and not that hard on DPS and rotation. Also, she trains the rotation on the dummy. Until kill, that won't be an issue anymore. We're not wiping because of lack of DPS. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get that. It's just, you know, when I was looking at it, and it's ironic, really. It's ironic, you know, when you see it, is that if she's pressing 2, right? Instead of 1 and 2. If she just pressed 1 instead of 2, it would like double her damage that she's doing now. Isn't that weird? Because, like, her number 2 doesn't even generate any procs. Her number 1 does. It'd be like you spumming like Armor Crush in Ninja, you know? It's just silly, really. If she's going to... I mean, I get it. I get it. I do. This fight needs a lot of movement, a lot of all this kind of stuff, a lot of focus. So if you're going to spam one of the 2 buttons, you spam the other one, You know, it wouldn't even be a big deal. Be fine. I got silence as the response. We get in the group, and we all take a quick inspect of her character and see all crafted gear. And then I noticed something else. She doesn't have any materia. Gems, WoW players. Okay. Again, I tell myself, we're casuals, I guess? So, Wipe 1 and Soul Nibbler disconnects. Storms were going on in the UK and my internet was a bit on the fritz too, so I ignored it. Wipe 2, she comes back and we make it to Limit Cut 1 again, and that's where we would stay for the entire 21 attempts we made that day. There was a new contender though for worst mistakes. Instead of the White Mage, it was now the Summoner making little errors, but nowhere close to the Dark Knight and the Dancer. Forgetting to go to their tower, standing too close when the small explosion goes off, not standing where he's supposed to, all little mistakes that will be corrected in time. I, however, could not be outdone by the day before, so decided to one-up myself by dying once to the stack mechanic, then dying again by missing the wall, then getting knocked back and finally killing 3 people because I was out of position after a res. Sadly, that was my only time to shine as the next wipe returned to the Dark Knight, being in the wrong spot during Limit Cut. When people die and ask, what killed us? I'm usually the first to speak because I'm bored from doing the mechanics over and over again, having nothing better to do. When people guess incorrectly, I politely correct them on what actually caused the wipe and we continue. However, this started to get interpreted as the frustration rose that I was now blaming people for messing up. I didn't mention a single name. I simply said someone was out of position. Someone didn't shirk or taunt. A week passes, and we're setting up day 3 of progress. We start early because everyone is online and excited to get started. Little did I know this was a setup to the events, which were to... Oh god, they set you up. Soul Nibbler has improved from day 1's performance. She has now started pressing 1 on repeat instead of 2, which I think everyone can agree is progress. She's doing more damage than she did previously. We zone in again. Still not using any materia. I just accepted this to be normal and the pulls begin. Everyone is improving except the same 2 people though, the Dark Knight and Soul Nibbler. We do make it to Limit Cut 2 and proceed to argue how to progress further. The night before, we mentioned using Tank or Healer LB3 so we can survive a little longer after Limit Cut 1 since we had survival issues. See, you could still fail Limit Cut 1 at the end and make it to the Meteors, so by look of the numbers, we can make it further. This is when our leader, Jersey, would put his raid leading foot down and say we need LB3 for Enrage. The same Enrage we have never seen yet. 17 wipes later, we agree to take a break and begin our usual raid time in about 4 hours. 1 hour into the break, however, I received a message in the pink. Yo. We've had a talk as an FC, and we are sorry to say we are kicking you from the group. We don't mind when people make mistakes, but we do care about people only pointing out other mistakes, and we have noticed that you do this a lot. We haven't heard a sorry from you when you mess up, and that has annoyed some members of the group. We would be happy to keep your girlfriend if they would like to stay, however. We understand you two are a group, and if they would like to leave as well, then it's fine. I would advise you not to focus so much on others' mistakes and accept your own when they happen. Good luck. Have a nice day. This came as a shock to me, because I never called anyone out. I never say names and I never belabor the point. If it was me, we'd just keep pulling once we figure out what killed us. That, however, was not what caught my eye. My mistakes? I was curious, what on earth could I have possibly done wrong? I told him I wasn't calling anyone out and what possible mistakes I had made that were so egregious that would require me to be kicked from the group. He dodged the question and said, I caused wipes and passed the blame on to others. I told him we have 71 wipes on Limit Cut 1. I am not calling anyone out. He said again, I'm passing my mistakes on to others. And I lost it at this point. And I told him, you know, I have kept track of every single wipe, right? You know this? The exact thing that causes us to wipe. I know I've been a part of 7 wipes over our 3 raid nights. I know apart from today, you were a part of 1 wipe. Like I know what issues are, and I have been very polite to all 5 of you, the Dancer, the Dark Knight, the White Mage, and the Summoner. I told him I knew he already had replacements waiting in the background. I told him I knew he was a good player, and so was the Summoner. I knew they were Savage and Ultimate Raiders because I'd seen their logs. I told him that he didn't dare call out his girlfriend for having no materia and not even attempting to do a rotation. He did not like that at all. Bro. Listen, okay? Don't act like a big boy on raiding, but play like a piece of shit. It's poor that you lag so hard on damage still with pots, and don't start with, but bro, you have a dance partner. I still average above you. Yes, we said to everyone, do first, learn mechanics, then care about rotation. And why? Because our damage is enough. But hell, people can compare to you, use their mitigations. As well, I promised everyone I stay nice. But how am I supposed to stay nice when I hear this kind of bullshit from you? Don't complain about others' rotation if you can't even play double shroud. Really. I was laughing. My man had full 650 gear. I was 640. I told him we had similar DPS despite that. It was true, however. He was always 1 to 2k more than me. I pointed it out to him and explained, dude, you use pots. I told him I never called anyone out for damage. I said my only issue was done in private and I only mentioned it because it broke her job completely. He retorts with, don't complain about prog damage. This was when I realized I was dealing with someone who just wanted me gone at this point. The fight continued. I let loose with all the details I noticed. The 11-second window between the White Mage noticing 4 people were dead and pressing raise. The fact I was a healer main being told to play DPS. Being told that we can only join as a couple if my girlfriend could take criticism. I unleashed. I showed him I kept track of everything. Every wipe, who caused it, what was the thing that killed us. He told me to go back to my shitty French data center and that I was shit at the game. I left with a simple, alright. Enjoy wiping, dude. And I blocked him. He also did not like that I blocked him. This was when he proceeded to message my girlfriend about how bad I was, that I was the cause of all the issues in the group. With me gone, they would clear. And you know what, Preach? They were right. They did clear. They scored 198 out of 800 once they got replacements in. It was true. My girlfriend and I were holding them back. If only we two could pull out 2 60% passes, we too could clear the Savage raid for them. The second they cleared, the ninja DM'd my girlfriend about how they cleared within 90 minutes of me being kicked out of the group and how she could have had a promising raid career if she dropped her nerdy spreadsheet WoW boyfriend. She laid into him. With the fervor instilled in her from the mental roulette and dealing with shitters for so long, she told him that he was insecure, that they're the bad players and they know it. He knows that this is only the beginning of their woes. He lost it at that point, saying how our raiding careers were over. No one would want to raid with us again after he told everyone how bad we were. We will never clear a fight and we'll never make progress, he said. He told her that he had screenshots of our conversations and that not even a name change could save us from this. With one last final reminder that they cleared without the meme reaper that he called me. He blocked her. At this point, everybody sucks. At this point, we're both laughing and happily playing BG3. A new land for us to discover together and a week-long journey ahead of us. A week. A high elf paladin set on dispelling all evil that walks the land and a pew-pew everything goes boom drow wizard that just wants to make shit blow up while saving the world. Most importantly, though, we have a story to tell from our 14 journey. Beware the fountain dancer. Thank you for reading our story. Well, I'll be honest, as our audience picked up, you didn't come off very well in that story. Even with your retelling of it as the author, you didn't come off great. Right? Mega guilty. You didn't come off great. And I always imagine that when the author writes it, you have to believe that they've honeyed it a little bit in their favor, right? If you were writing a story about you, you probably would have honeyed it in your favor. Didn't come off great. The FF14 players don't like that kind of stuff, man. They don't like it. They don't like it, and they tend to do well. Yeah, I don't know. Clear within 90 minutes. 2 serious carries comes in. I was with him until I found out they were French. Oh, God. Beginner-friendly static. Doing logs at the beginner. Yeah, didn't come out well. Author guilty. I feel like there was more that was left out because Jersey, the raid leader, was like, dude, this is not working. This is not working at all. Like, really dark. So, I'm sorry, author. I do declare you guilty. I do declare you guilty, unfortunately. I do declare you. Logs are very helpful. Hey, you're preaching to the choir. I'm a WoW player. You know that. I love me some logs. I like me some logs, you know, unless Nups is doing them. I like me some, I like the logs. I like me logs. I do like them. Logs don't lie. They tell the truth, man. They tell the truth. Data does its thing. That'll be it for today. That is the end of drama time. But remember, we should be back tomorrow. I think at some point tomorrow on Saturday. I might be streaming just doing shit around the office. And getting ready for Sunday, because our New Year's Eve party is on Sunday. I would like to get my FF stuff done tomorrow. And try and find some time to play some Baldur's Gate, because, yeah, it's really good. And we've got a week of blood. But yes, if I can stream, we'll be doing various things, all right? Doing various things. But unquestionably, we are back on Sunday. Our New Year's Eve party is on Sunday in FF. If you don't have an FF account, you can get a free one, and you can join in with us. It's totally fine. You can do all that kind of stuff. Linked in the chat right now with Bex is the instructions of what's going to be happening, so you have a full understanding of it. It's going to be awesome. 3 different glams. We're really hoping that people show up with 3 different glams. A futuristic one, a Barbenheimer one, and then, of course, full Boomer Disco to bring in the New Year's at the end. It's going to be a really fun night. Lots of amazing DJs are joining us. It's going to be sick. Other than that, be good, guys, and I will see you maybe tomorrow, but definitely Sunday. All right? Be awesome, and bye-bye. Bye, guys.